Welcome back, everyone. It's lovely to see you all. You're here at the ICES virtual conference. This is our public event for the satellite conference, and we have a public performance. And we'd just like to say thank you to a few of our sponsors from the University of Liverpool. So we're just going to play a quick video from the lovely Carrie, and then we'll get on the road.
Hello and welcome to the International Society for Anthrozoology's 2020 conference public performance event. My name is Carrie Westcott. I'm a senior lecturer in human-animal interaction at the University of Liverpool and I'm the lead host for this year's conference hosted by the University of Liverpool. The International Society for Anthrozoology is a scholarly organisation for the scientific study into human-animal interaction. We have yearly conferences such as this one. For this year, of course, we've had to go virtual. And the organisation also has a journal called Anthrozoos. Thanks to generous funding for this conference by the University of Liverpool Centre for Humanities and Social Science of Health, Medicine and Technology. This year we have our very own conference poet, a writer in residence, Matt Black. This also means we've been able to provide this free performance for you all of Matt's show, fresh from last year's Edinburgh Fringe Festival, The Snoopy Question. I first met Matt when my colleague Chris was hosting an event, a Dog Poo Roadshow. Matt entertained us there with some dog-related poetry, and we've gone on to develop further collaborations. Matt has been writing some poetry and stories about the findings from research we're doing at the university into the dog-human relationship. Hopefully you will hear excerpts from some of these tonight. We've also since collaborated on a writing workshop where Matt's been helping researchers and other attendees from the general public to write their own poems and stories about their experiences with animals. And Matt's going to be hosting a similar workshop this time tomorrow night for this conference. So do sign up if you're interested in attending this and letting your creative side out. I can promise that it's really good fun. As conference poet, Matt is also hosting an ISAS poetry competition for which more information can be found on our conference website, www.isas2020.com. The deadline for submissions is September the 4th, so you haven't got long to get those in. Finally, I can't wait to hear what poems Matt is going to be inspired to write, also from what's going on in this year's conference. All the content from that he's going to be writing for us. I guess that all's left now is to welcome Matt and hope you all enjoyed tonight's performance.
Matt just wants to come on and briefly introduce himself. So Matt, if you'd like to turn on, fantastic. Don't forget to push your audio button. Matt, people are struggling to hear you. Can you just double check that your microphone is switched on? There we go. Remember, we did have a couple of audio issues last time in one of the mic checks. Oh no, I was hearing him perfectly earlier on. Thank you, Matt. If you try refreshing your browser, that might help. Thank you for bearing with us. I think Matt's going to type in a little bit of an intro and then we'll get onto the performance from him. Yep, no problem at all, Matt. We'll play the show as it must go on and we'll try again at the end. Here we go.
You're all in the right show. Hi, I'm Matt, moderate, well-balanced, age 60. A dog or a pet? Cool, you're in the right show. Put your paws up if you've ever wondered what it's like to be a dog or a tiger or an elephant or any kind of animal. Cool, you're in the right show too. And paws up if you've ever wondered, felt embarrassed at a social occasion or a family gathering. Cool. So, you're all in the right show. Hi, I'm Matt, moderate, well-balanced, age 63, been writing all my life, make my living from workshops, schools, commissions, all that stuff. But I sometimes think that I might have written all the love poems, political poems, and daft poems about bananas and string that I ever want to. You think it's all romantic being a poet, grueling sessions with head teachers, having to write uplifting poems about miserable towns. I've had to be far too sensible, too well balanced by half. One day in August 2018, I look out of my writing shed window and I see the family's small, wiry terrier Lola wandering around the garden. I've never been particularly fussed about dogs, but I've grown fond of Lola, so I decide to write a soppy poem inspired by her to give to my girlfriend for Christmas. Maximum brownie points. So, who is she? Lola, trusty terrier, Hoppity dog with a wonky back leg. She runs through woods we think we own. We build the houses and she lives in them. We buy the sofas and she lies on them. She smells the exhaustion molecules of our busy lives. Her big brown eyes pretend they understand me. Under crazy bushy eyebrows, more Patrick Moore than Patrick Moore. Her ears, soft, curved wings with adjustable floppy flaps, streamlined for slipping into bushes. The cold, wet, aromatic kingdom of her nose, rubber doorstop, licorice black, crinkled leather, double-barreled shotgun. She is Lola the Wonder Dog, dancing in the joys of the stink world. She thinks without thinking. She learns without trying. She flies across the golf course of space and time, ears swept back against the black sky. Terrier rocket, front paws ahead. She is Snoopy the pilot. So, while I'm writing this, I start thinking about dogs. Are they really clever like everybody says? One minute, I think Lola's really clever, the way she nudges my leg when she wants a walk. The next minute, daft as mashed potato. Basically, how is it that a bunch of wild wolves ended up living on our sofas and eating peanut butter out of plastic balls? Wikipedia, here we go. The 30-page article on Wikipedia basically says, domestication of dogs, we're not quite sure. Maybe 20,000 years ago, maybe 30,000 years ago, we don't really know. But probably Wolfie, near a cave where humans are cooking food, goes, nice, smells good. Might make friends with these two-footers. Which I find moderately interesting. And I could have easily left it there with a few wolfish factoids to mumble to friends. And that way, I'd have probably gone on holiday to Malaysia with my girlfriend. But I chose to stay here because at that moment, I came across a fascinating theory. GTF21, a genome theory. I'll come back to that later. But GTF21 gets me excited enough so that I click buy on my iPad for a couple of innocent looking books about dogs. Dogs and smelling, cancer. Yeah, we all know about that. Landmines, mobile phones, epilepsy. A dog could sniff a gram of your sweat in an area the size of Birmingham and Dudley rolled together. No wonder the police use dogs. Imagine a detective hound working for the New York Police Department. I was hoping for a lie down kind of morning. Bowl of hard grunts and 2 hours in a tatty sofa. I was tired of people, especially the false ones, all shampoo and cologne. Won't let you into their real smell, armpits, genitals, skin. The unique sweat ball of being human. But the scents from downtown were wrong. Wrong as fuck shit in an ice cream parlor. It was on the wastes and strays side of town, where every fire hydrant tells a tale. I was sniffing all the way, my long floppy ears, scooping up enough drafts and dirty stories for a bad news novel by Elmore Leonard. I smelled guns hiding in a brownstone. Son, my mum used to say to me, you're special. You could sniff out one rotten apple in 2 million barrels. I already knew this morning's story was going to be rotten. A sour aroma swirled on the doorstep. got stronger as I entered the building. I could smell the corpse on the 5th floor. Smelled like betrayal, like bad fish at a wedding. I trotted up the flaky stairway. The lounge had been vacuumed clean, clean as the Pope's conscience. The bedroom had scent prints from trainers worn by an overweight, unhappy man in his late 40s. I wanted to know when he last felt okay. On the TV, a gold ring smells of sex. The desperate kind, not the sweet long afternoon kind when you travel to the stars. The corpse was in the bathtub, looking clean but unhappy. I went back out on the street, found a cop with at least a faint aroma of honesty, nudged his leg until he got it, gave him a card in case he needed me later. That's how we roll, me and the cops. I sniff it out and they pick up the paycheck. Suits me. The chase keeps me alive. Keeps me from too many weeks dying on the sofa. I went back uptown, lay down, ears flopped over. Let those bad scents float back out of my system. Watch the dogs below, scratching the streets for some kind of living. Had a lie down kind of afternoon. I realise I've woven scientific information into that poem. I can be the dog poet, ahead of the field with my own USP. Matte Black, poems inspired by cutting-edge dog research, a kind of dog poet guru maybe. Forget that ordinary human poet I used to be. By now it's September, and I have 4 poems. And that's always risky because poets, even age 63, have a tendency to get overexcited once they have 4 poems on the same theme. Over the next few weeks, to all appearances, quietly writing in my shed. Bloody hell. We don't understand dogs at all, do we? Ears erect and slightly forward. What's that? Ears flickering and slightly forward and then back downwards. I'm just looking this situation over, so please don't take offence. Tail language, so much more complicated than yours and mine, sir. High or low, fast or slow, flagging, sagging, indecision, wagging. Tail talk. A study shows that dogs who raised one eyebrow, as if quizzical, at potential adopters were rehomed faster than those who didn't. Tip: to avoid dogs feeling threatened by you, drop down to their height. Don't threaten them. Rover licks Jenny's face. Jenny thinks, oh, that's lovely. Rover must love me, but much more likely, Rover wants some food because puppies lick their mothers' faces to encourage them to regurgitate their food. We think we know them. Do we hell? It's October. By now, I'm reading The Genius of Dogs, At Home and Astray, and my favourite, The World of Sniff. My girlfriend keeps saying to me, this is a bit weird, this stuff about dogs, Matt, you didn't even want a dog. But by now, I'm loving having a dog because I'm writing dog poems every day. Dogginess, that's the word. Ancient beast world, hunting, scratching, shagging, all that primeval stuff. No words, but a million primal instincts for survival. Not being stroked in front of the TV and being cuddled all the time. If Lola wants to sniff under Barry's hedge for 15 minutes on the way to the park, I'm going to let her. After all, when dogs sniff other dogs' wee, they can tell what sex they are, if they're feeling poorly, if they're feeling horny. It's a blinking community notice board. About this time, I start some experiments. I spend a whole morning going down Gresham Avenue, where we live, docking up and down so the neighbours can't see me, as I sniff everything that Lola sniffs. Down the garden path, quick, thin air draft of meat pie gravy drifting southwesterly from number 32. Across James Drive, dark, tangy Alsatian odour, homebound anxiety diet. Near a parked van, whoosh, thin sweat of worried mechanic man. I start to think how much simpler life would be if I were a dog, how much less hassle. I mean, dogs don't worry about the ongoing privatisation of the National Health Service, or what their girlfriends are thinking, or the next literary event. Dogs just have to get on with being dogs. It happens for the first time when the Amazon delivery man comes to the front door. I am already partly dog. I wonder what percentage. I think Lola could teach me to be a dog if only she could tell me everything that she knows. I see a woman out for a walk with a red setter on the end of a lead, and I can see it in her eyes. That's her free self, who she wants to be on the end of a lead. Dogs, so spiritual, so mindfulness without any meditation downloads on their mobiles. It's November. My girlfriend goes away for work, tired of my obsession with dogs, and I sleep on a cushion on the landing for that week. Sleep brilliantly. I dream of chasing rabbits. Get in touch with various dog organisations, Honolly Rescue Centre, the Guide Dogs for the Blind, the Dogs Trust. Nobody gets back to me. Dogs could teach us everything, couldn't they? We should learn to run like dogs. I mean, dogs could teach us the meaning of peace. Dog inside me dog, wanting to be free dog, my let me howl and bark dog, my nights out in the park dog. I think I've been in fear of my inner dog in here, my rarely ever shown dog, hunting for a bone dog. The dog I want to find, swimming in the mind, my always loyal, true dog, the dog inside you dog. I wonder what Barry's inner dog would be. I think Bull Mastiff, but Sarah, I'm not quite sure. So I get a book about dogs. Dogs. So many breeds, more breeds than anything else, but sponges have the greatest variety of body size and species. I don't think sponges are going to be my spiritual mentor. There are over 300 breeds of dog. Labradoodle, Bernedoodle, Golden Doodle. Whatever happened to the mongrel? Portuguese Water Spaniel, Snoopy Beagle. Whatever happened to the mongrel? Chesapeake Bay Retriever, Entlebucher, Affenpinscher. Whatever happened to the mongrel? Chow Chow, Shih Tzu, Bison Friche, Yorkie Poo. Whatever happened to the mongrel? There used to be only 15 breeds of dog. It's those Victorians again, making them part of the home, making them statements of poshness and pedigree, giving them rights, taking their rights away. It's so wrong. This is the moment when I get my theory together about GTF21 and the genome. Because GTF21, it's a friendship genome that you find inside the wolves that dogs evolved from, and it's also inside humans. So my theory is we learned friendship and cooperation with the wolves that turned into dogs. At a time when the world was much wilder, we learned to survive and were helped to survive by dogs because of their amazing hunting abilities and their amazing protection abilities. So basically, we've survived down to our friendship and cooperation with dogs, and we repay them with Facebook opportunities and best in show. It's December. People are buying dogs for Christmas. I now know what kind of dog I am. I'm a natural old-fashioned dog. I've tried chasing squirrels and I love it. But I'm growing more aware of what 21st century dogginess is really like. Dogs used to be free to wander around the town and the country, didn't they? Now they've got 5 freedoms by law, but they have to have a microchip, they have to be well behaved, and if they don't, it's don't tell the children. It's like they're almost citizens. I start to write some dog protest rants called Puppy Riot, the Citizen Songs. I'm not fighting for the Russian church, but I am campaigning for dogs' rights. I go around the charity shops in Leamington Spa and I buy myself a balaclava and take to impromptu performances. One, two, three, four. Pet dogs are the bourgeoisie, household gods of security. We're modern dogs, can't you see? You took us in, you took control. Now we're used to the home pets role. Professional pets, don't you know? We shared the road of evolution, thought it was a mutual solution. Nutrition, love, nutrition. Now it's puppy farms everywhere. Almost citizens, is that fair? You throw us sticks, but do you care? We've had enough of keeping quiet. Puppy riot, puppy riot. Time for dogs to find their way. Rah, 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 rah. We wore dominion like a crown. We chased the strays out of town. You put us up, you put us down. Now if we've got breeding, we're okay. Lucky ones get the DNA. Always the way, always the way. We've had enough of keeping quiet. Puppy riot, puppy riot. Time for dogs to find their way. Rah, 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 rah. People seem to think I'm part of a local arts festival, or maybe raising funds for the PDSA, or maybe I'm a furry. 3 people stop and talk to me. A bloke says, "You all right, mate?" Another one says, "Is this something to do with Christmas?" And a woman says, "Oh, I've got one like you at home, love." The Puppy Riot performances do not make any conversions, but I'm still convinced that everybody just needs to have their inner dog released. It's January, and I make a New Year's resolution to bounce back. I just need the right trigger. But it's when I'm on a walk out with Lola that I have a brainwave. They don't want Puppy Riot, Pussy Riot, poetic pastiches. They want a game show. They want a quiz. What do you want? A quiz. So, welcome everybody to the Dog Evangelist Dog Reality Game Show, also known as Whose dog are you anyway? Be ready to type your answers into the chat bar, and I shall be giving you the answers as we go along so you can score yourselves, and we'll tell you how the points go at the end of the show. Are you ready with your fingers on the chat bar? So, question 1. The long ago breed of wolves that dogs evolved from, did they mostly lead by caring and sharing and looking after the pack, or more by fierce authority? A few seconds while you type that into your chat bars, which is your answer. And if you put caring and sharing and looking after the pack, you get 15 points. Question number 2. I'm now going to tell you a number of facts about the ways in which dogs truly experience the world, in which I'm going to smuggle 3 lies. So, if you type into the chat bar what you think the lies are, and then I'll let you know at the end and you'll get points. So, dogs' vision has a higher flicker fusion rate than ours, so they mostly see television as a series of stills with dark in between. Quick type in the chat bar if you think that's a lie. Most objects are different for dogs. For example, Durex are not a useful contraceptive device, but they might be interesting as a chewable texture. Indonesian village dogs are particularly fond of chewing Durex as it reminds them of the rubber tree. 90% of the dogs in the world are feral dogs or village dogs, street dogs. They mostly sort out their differences by a more or less friendly bark-off. Moscow street dogs know all the stops on the Moscow Underground system. Rolling their back and shoulders into spunky and filthy smells is a form of camouflage, disguising themselves with local odours. Dogs cannot tell the time of day, but they can sense different air currents from the beginnings and ends of the day, and so they know roughly what the day's routine is. Most dogs, therefore, like to have a poo at 9:15 a.m. every morning. So, answers in the chat bar to the ones that you think were the lies, and the lies are 4 points, 20 points for each lie. Indonesian village dogs are not particularly fond of chewing Durex. Moscow street dogs do not know all the stops on the Moscow Underground system, though they do know some of them. They know where the best Maccadees are. And finally, no, dogs don't have a poo at 9:15 every morning. It's usually 9:30. On to round number 2, remembering to add up your points as you go along. Round number 2, the empathyometer. Imagine this scenario. You are going for a cup of coffee with your mate in town. On your way, you see a dog that is clearly lost. Abandoned, you don't know why. What do? You've got 3 options. Type one of these 3 options into the chat bar, or a different option if you want. So, option number 1, you carry on and go for a cup of coffee with your mate because you don't want to be late. Option number 2, you ring up the local council and get hold of the dog warden and report the dog is missing. Option number 3, you carry with you anyway at all times a PET scanner microchip reader. You read the microchip on the dog and ring up the owner. So if you've typed your answers into the chat bar, and if you carried on for a cup of coffee with your mate, 15 points for your honesty. I like it. If you have rung up the dog warden, 30 points, because that shows a high level of consideration. And if you have a PET scanner microchip reader, which is a true thing, if you've got one, 50 points. And if you have just bought one on your phone whilst listening to this quiz, an extra 20 points. Okay, on on to our final round, which is my favourite round. It's Bark in the Park time. As you'll know, dogs in the UK generally say woof woof, but dogs in Russian say gav gav. Strange thing about dogs, they bark with different words in different languages. But howling is a universal language. I've identified 4 basic kinds of howls. 1, doggy no mates howl. 2, come round for a good dogging howl. 3, ain't we a great gang howl? And 4, the traditional howling, the best of them all, what a wicked moon howl. Join in, please, with the howling in your rooms around the world. Anthrozoologists, please join in with the howling. Fantastic. I heard you. So, points for your howling are, if you didn't howl at all, no points, nul point. If you howled a little bit, were a bit embarrassed, 10 points, 10 points. If you howled a lot and just wanted to carry on howling, you get 25 points. And if you are still howling, that's 40 points to you. So, very final question on the quiz. For 100 points, are you ready? It's the Snoopy question. Have you ever licked another dog's bottom? Type your answer into the chat bar if you dare. And now, if you'd like to add up your points, please. And the first person who puts in that they have, the first 3 people, in fact, first 3 people who put in over 100 points scored, I will be sending them a copy of my new collection, Sniffing Lampposts by Moonlight. Thank you for joining in the quiz. So, in January and February, my game show quiz is a small hit at various dog organisations and open mics. My girlfriend has given me a large mask of a pug for Christmas. I think she's hoping to put me off my current poetic path. But instead, I write for the British Veterinary Association's Breed to Breathe campaign, who send me some information leaflets, and I write a poem. It's the wheezing gets me, but I done well. All charm and big eyes got me everywhere. All over Europe I was top dog one time. Cute but hench, little tail curled on me back. Made a name for myself, only ended up in bed with Napoleon's trouble and strife. Look at this lot, me chaise long, feel the pile on that, all posh bling, ain't it? But as my consultant says to me, Pug, you better write your memoirs now, my boy, while you can, 'cause I'm afraid your bone house is right up the Khyber, and your breathing's truly knackered, what with your pinched nostrils and elongated palate. Best not to Google what Doc tells you, I say. But in the circs I couldn't resist it. Pharyngeal gag reflex. Would you, Adam and Eve it? No wonder I've been gasping and snorting. But I've had fun. I've had me heyday. Fed best meat and rice I was. Given rank and status. Me own palace and servants in China. Only painted by Hogarth and Goya. This is what happens when posh gits take you in. Fed me up, squashed me in, made me even cuter, messed up me boat race no end, My whole bloody health went down the Mississippi. Wheezing, skin fold dermatitis, hip dysplasia, inbreeding, demodectic mange. I've googled them all, not pretty. And the last straw, me left mince pie keeps bloody popping out. It's all in my memoirs. You look out for it. And I've got the cover now. This mug will be on this type, and the title, Big Eyes and Breathless. I get such a buzz from this poem that I take a bottle of Sauvignon Blanc and go down the garden path to my writing shed. I pour myself a drink. I think these are probably some of the best poems I've ever written, and the last few months have been great. I get a bit carried away. I start to think of the future. I start to think, yeah, I could take my game show to Crufts Dog Show, couldn't I? Yeah, brilliant idea. I can see the poster now. It's going to be a big old Manchester Terrier with a swirl of ferocious whiskers, and across it all, in big red letters, how much dog are you? I can feel it inside. I can feel it. It's like, oh yeah, nice. I can feel it. It's like the pug rising inside me. It's like maybe it's the wolf rising inside me. Bloody hell. It used to be good, us and the humans. Nice old smelly place to sleep and a bit of rough old food. It's all gone a bit la-di-da, hasn't it? I mean, doggy yoga, downward dog. Dogs coming in baby slings into pubs. Dogs disco dancing to Justin Bieber. 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 I've had enough of keeping quiet. Puppy riot, puppy riot. Time for dogs to find their way. Rah, 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 rah. This is the moment when my girlfriend comes through the door into my writing shed. She looks me over. I saw the flashing lights, Matt. What's going on? Sorry, love, I'm not quite sure how to say this. I think I've become a dog. This is ridiculous, Matt. You can't be a dog. This has been going on for 6 months. You can either be the boyfriend or a dog, but you can't be both. But it's better as dog love. You could be a dog too. Be very careful what you wish for, Matt. You'd have a much shorter life, and I might get you castrated. And think of what you've got as a human. You wouldn't have your little Toyota Yaris. You wouldn't have cauliflower cheese or holidays in Italy. All the joys you've got as a human. You can learn from being a dog without having to actually be one. I know, love, but it's better as a dog. You don't have to choose what sofa to buy, and that's brilliant. It's all right, love. I'll choose the sofas. You don't have to do that. You've got all the freedom a dog has, and more. I know. I can be me, and Lola can be Lola, and that's the way it's meant to be. But Can we still carry on being bouncy and having fun and getting excited and carried away like Lola? Yes, of course you can. And I can still be the dog poet, can't I? Yes, love, of course. So that's the story of how I got carried away. And of course, it's not, and of course, it's ridiculous. I'm not going to be a dog. I'm not going to be a dog. That's not what I'm going to be. But I've learned a lot from dogs. So I've learned that dog friendship that they've showed us for the last 20,000 years is the meaning of world peace. And Lola, I think I know who she is now. I think I know who she is now. Hoppity dog with a wonky back leg. So, I've always got my little inner dog inside me, yapping and scratching and sniffing. But this is what Lola's got to say. I want to say it politely so that you will still like me, for I'm glad that we're living together. I like being your pet, love you greatly, but yet one or two things could be even better. I know you like your house clean, but it seems a bit mean. I can't roll in stinky smells on my back. You could bath me, I don't care. Just once a week would seem fair. After all, you invited me into your pack. And just knowing my breed, that's not all that you need. We're all individual, unique, how we feel. Like you, we have histories, our moments, our mysteries, and getting to know us is part of the deal. So learn to read me, my ears. I do show you my fears, if you'd only work out what I'm saying. But half the problem I find, I don't wish to be unkind, is working out what you are displaying. So, if my dogginess could only be somewhat better understood, then it's walks and kindness and tea, and I'll be your best friend right through to the end, 'cause I'm a dog and I just want to be me. So, what have I learned? Well, I've learned that I've just got to carry on doing the Dog Evangelist Roadshow and doing Puppy Riot and carry on having fun. And I am having fun because I am now the dog poet, celebrating dogs in all their glory, celebrating dogs in all their bum-sniffing, rabbit-chasing, shit-rolling freedom. And I'm so glad that I know more about dogs now. And I hope you know a little bit more about dogs now. And even though we're not going to be dogs, maybe we can all find time to be a little bit more dog.
That was fantastic. Thank you very much. I'm not sure if we can hear you, Matt, but if you can just leave the room and come back in, it might work again. Can everyone hear me okay? We'll just see if we can get Matt back in the room. But yeah, let's give a woof for Matt. That was fantastic. If anyone has any questions for Matt, I will try and ask them if we can get his mic working. Did everyone enjoy that though? It was very fun. It's quite nice to see the non-scientific points of view at times, isn't it? So let's give it a couple of minutes and see if we can get Matt back. Just waiting for him to log in again. But did everyone enjoy the show? Has anyone got any questions for Matt? Okay, we've got Matt back in the chat.
Be. Hello. Hello.
Matt, I
No.
can hear you.
Hi. Can you hear
Everyone-
me?
I can hear you loud and clear, Matt. Can everyone in the chat hear Matt? Give them a second or so.
Hello. Wow, at last. I'm not. Oh, should I turn my video on as well?
Really?
Hi. No, I can't hear you, Danielle. No? Hello? Well, if you can hear me, everyone, thank you very much for listening. I was deeply frustrated that I couldn't chat with you more. I loved the things that I've been to so far at the conference. I found it very moving this afternoon. I think it's amazing the work that you're doing, and I'm really looking forward to going to more sessions this week. I would have just loved to have chatted about dogginess and about people's need to understand dogs as individuals, really, as well as breeds, and so much stuff that you know about, and I feel like we share, and I would love to have been having more chat about it. But there we go. And there were some great questions which were coming in, and I'm going to look back in the chat bar and see. Yes, I'd love to collaborate, Shirley. Yes. And yes. We can hear you, Matt. You're great. I can't hear you, Danielle, at all. But anyway, I shall be around. Hello, Danielle?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. We're both on there then.
I'm not going to move.
I had off my chat so people can send those questions again. That'd be fantastic. But yeah, Matt, that was fantastic. And lots of people have been saying just where do you come up with the ideas for this, and how long do you take to rehearse these sorts of things?
Okay, that's a nice question. So I come up with the ideas for this set of poems about dogs. It was over a 4-month period where I wrote obsessively for most days. I was writing new poems about dogs, inspired by books that I was reading and by watching Lola, and just by the amazing research, actually, and information about pugs and about feral dogs and about companion dogs and all the specialist dogs that there are now. That are specialist is the wrong word, they're all individuals, aren't they? But I felt like I learned so much, and I wanted to pass some of that on through poetry. And as for rehearsing, that's just a long process, but it's quite fun. I do it in my writing shed. And different audiences, that's really interesting. I find young audiences react. Actually, I haven't had audiences react badly. I occasionally get one or two people who look a bit curmudgeonly, and I do feel like the show treads a fine line, because it's got these two different narratives between the sort of silly narrative of the central character who gets obsessed and carried away by the idea that dogs might have the answer to everything and that he's becoming a dog, and then the more serious narrative, which is about dogginess and about understanding that dogs have needs to be met other than just exercising and food, and need to be understood, really, as I understand it anyway.
Right, lovely. Shirley has asked a question: have you written about other animals, or maybe just about chasing cats?
I've written occasional poems about other animals, but nothing extensive at all. So I've got a poem about a hoopoe who landed in Dent in Cumbria a couple of years ago, which was pretty amazing. But no, I haven't written much about other animals. And I'm kind of fascinated by dogs at the moment, but I might move on to, I think cats would be amazing. Horses, I think, would be incredible to write about.
That would be lovely to write about. I mean, we're very much a dog crowd, but there are quite a few equine people here as well.
Okay.
There's a question from Shirley who's asked, do you find it easier to write from a dog's perspective or a human's?
Great question. I think that in terms of writing from a perspective, I find it easy once I've got the angle. So the pug poem was written once I knew what I wanted to say about pugs, which was about their history and about how they were, painted by Hogarth and Goring, weaving in lots of information about pugs and obviously about the effects of breeding. But also, once I get the voice, so once I realised that I felt like the pug could be a Cockney pug, that's what it's meant to be. That gave me a way to write in that voice. And I think very often, if you're writing a monologue, writing in the feeling, writing how you think that character feels is the way into the voice for writing the monologue, as I understand it.
That's great. Let's wait and see if there's any other people that want to ask any questions. But I do think it's great how you are looking into, some of the science behind all this stuff, and you're bringing your own interpretation to it. Because often I find that those of us that are in that kind of community don't always see the general public's perspective. So it's really nice to see your side of how you interpret the science that we all do.
Okay, that's good. I'm always slightly nervous about presenting stuff that is based to some extent on science as a non-scientist, but I'm really glad if it's interesting to you. That's brilliant.
It fascinates me because personally, it's a huge part of my job is to work with the clients and with the people, be making sure that I can understand common misconceptions or things that they see that I don't, because it's not in my bubble, so to speak. It's
okay, yeah.
To see your opinion of it, especially with the pug. That was a really fascinating topic.
Yeah. And all these poems are also now collected into a book. There's this book called Sniffing Lampposts by Moonlight, which Sarah and Lisa and Rachel, who've been here, have won copies of. So we'll have to find ways to get those to them. But it's a book which is really about celebrating and exploring dogs.
Mercedes has asked, where can we follow him? Where are you on social media? Is there anywhere we can like or tweet or share? Or
yeah, Facebook's good. Facebook, Matt Black Poet on Facebook is great. That'd be brilliant, Mercedes. Please do. That'd be fab.
Anyone on Instagram or Twitter or anything like that, or is it mostly Facebook?
It's mostly Facebook. I'm on Twitter, but I don't go on Twitter very much.
That's no problem. Well, Shirley's commented that humour and poetry are such amazing tools in making scientific information accessible and relatable. Yeah, absolutely agree, Shirley.
That's really, really good to hear, because I always feel that humour is a way into people with subjects that they're not always thinking about. It's a good way of reaching people. So that's brilliant. Yeah.
Apparently your workshop seems to be sold out, and a few people really wanted to sign up, and there's some people asking if you would do a second one.
Yeah, I would do a second one with pleasure. I don't know how we organise it or when, but it doesn't have to be straight away, does it? That would be really good. That'd be ace.
Leave that in Carrie's capable hands, and hopefully we can
yeah. That'd be really nice. That'd be great.
Does anyone else have any questions for Matt before we end? We have gone a little bit over time, but it's not a problem because we had a few issues, so we'll keep you around for a little bit if that's okay, Matt.
Yeah, with pleasure. And just a quick plug for my book again, just to mention that it is a fundraising book. So if anybody's interested, funds go to the two local dog rescue charities here. One is in Coventry and one is just outside Leamington. And it has, I think, about 35 or 40 poems all about dogs. So and you can either buy it for a £5 or a £10. And if you buy it for a £5, all the costs above production costs, which are £3, go to charity. And if you buy it for a £10, they get £7 rather than £2 donated to them.
Oh, lovely! That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So hopefully people can go out and get a copy of your book. Is it Sniffing Lamppost by Moonlight? Is that what it was?
Sniffing Lamppost by Moonlight, available on my website, which is, if you just Google Matt Black Poet, you get to my website. Or it's matt-black.co.uk. I'll put it in the chat bar.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Matt. So I think, unless you've got anything else to say, we will round up for today. It's been a very long day for all.
Yeah, I bet. Well done. It's brilliant.
I hope everyone has enjoyed themselves. It's been wonderful to host this day for everyone, and just to watch all the amazing speakers and yourself, Matt. It's been a wonderful way to end the evening.
Great, thanks, Danielle. Thank you for all your patience with all the technical ding-dongs.
Oh, it's no problem. Technology is wonderful when it works well, and when it doesn't,
is brilliant.
It's no one's fault.
No, that's right. Okay.
So, thank you very much, everyone.
Cheers. Take care.
And we'll look forward to seeing you on Thursday.
Bye.